Apophis, the sworn enemy of the sun god Ra, was the most dangerous of all monsters of chaos who constantly threatened the divine order in the Egyptian mythology. The god was an ancient Egyptian deity described as the embodiment of darkness and evil. Commonly known as Apep, he was viewed as the greatest opponent of light, and thus earned the reputation of enemy of Ra and lord of chaos. He appears in art as a giant hideous snake, a dreadful serpent from Egyptian religion. The eyes of Apophis seem to have been particularly feared, and it was thought that the sound of his terrifying roar would cause the underworld to rumble. The movement of his body could cause earthquakes, and was associated with hidden sandbanks that were dangerous to boats on the Nile River, leading to the titles of evil lizard or evil dragon from the Nile. In Egyptian myths, snakes can be divine protectors or symbols of renewal, but the Apophis snake has proven to be an entirely destructive force, and was the negative counterpart of the god creator. While in most texts Apep is described as a giant demon snake long of 120 yards, he was elsewhere depicted as a humongous crocodile that once lived in the abysmal depths of darkness. Throughout ages, storytellers have been suggesting that a combination of the snake and crocodile forms of Apophis may be the origin of dragons that we all know from medieval legends. Apophis, the evil god who led the forces of chaos with the purpose of swallowing the sun, represented everything the Egyptians feared. According to the most popular creation myth, Apophis has always existed in the dark waters of the indifferentiated chaos before the primordial mound rose from them. And as such, he was considered to be the equal of the earliest divinities. However, a variation on this myth explained that the Egyptian goddess Neith, who emerged from the chaotic waters, created the ordered world, and Apophis was a created being who was given life at the same time as creation. He is, therefore, not the equal of the primordial gods but their subordinate. Once creation began, order rose from chaos and the first sunrise appeared, but Apophis was angered because of the introduction of duality and order to the universe. Prior to creation, everything was a unified whole, but then there were opposites such as male and female, water and land, light and darkness. In some accounts, Apophis became the enemy of the sun god because the sunlight was the first sign of the new world and symbolized divine order and life. The Lord of Chaos then thought that if he could engulf the sun, he could return the universe to its primal unity of darkness, to its original and undifferentiated state. In some stories, the resentment felt by Apophis towards Ra was a result of him being dethroned by the god. In response to that offense, Apophis swore to take revenge on the sun god by preventing him from accomplishing his daily duty, which was to bring dawn every morning. In Egyptian accounts of the nightly journey of the sun, which was Ra's great barge sailing through the sky from dawn to dusk, the ship of the god was usually ambushed while passing through the world of the dead. As it navigated into the darkness of the night, it was assaulted by Apophis, who sought to kill Ra and impeding the sun to ever rise. On board of the great ship, a number of deities depicted in different eras stood in the prow of the solar bark in order to protect the sun god against the tremendous snake. Although the gods were all powerful, they needed all the help they could get for fighting Apophis. So, the justified dead who had been admitted to the paradise are often seen on the celestial ship helping to defend it. Saying to have a strong magical gaze, Apophis somehow paralyzed the gods, all except Seth, to whom the gaze of the snake was completely harmless. The god Seth was therefore the first one to drive Apophis off with his spear, and the fight between them has sometimes been interpreted as a myth that explains raging hurricanes and thunderstorms. The Lord of Chaos was always beaten and slaughtered in the course of every night. However, it didn't matter how many times he was defeated and killed, he always came back to life and was ready again by dusk to resume the war, waiting for the barge of the sun when it entered the underworld. Apophis is also shown in scriptures as a dismembered serpent being chopped off into pieces. A famous depiction along that line comes from another myth, in which Ra himself defeated the monstrous snake in the form of a divine cat. a figure believed to be the embodiment of the protective aspect of the sun god, who guarded the tree that holds the secrets of the eternal life and divine knowledge. This myth also relates the origin of cats in Egyptian beliefs and traditions, as well as the mortal rivalry between felines and snakes. The spirits of the dead along with the living were expected to join in the struggle against the Lord of Darkness. As he was thought to live in the underworld, Apophis was sometimes considered as an eater of souls, thus the dead were buried with spells that could protect them and destroy the god of chaos. Ancient Egyptian priests and laypeople would perform rituals in temples to ensure his defeat, among which 2 incantations were particularly known. In the Book of Overthrowing Apep, or the Book of Apophis by the Greeks, Egyptians gathered in temples and used spells to combat the giant serpent, by annihilating all aspects of his being, including his body, his name and his magic. Priests acted out this perpetual war by drawing pictures and building effigies of Apophis that were said to contain all the evil and darkness in the land of Egypt. These images and models were cursed, destroyed by mutilation, then burned. This book is known among those holding execration texts that accompany rituals for cursing a person or an entity, and which remained in use throughout the ancient Egyptians' history. The Egyptians believed that every natural entity was imbued with divine essence, and this of course included the sun which gave life, and at night required the prayers and support of the people to ensure they would see him the next day. Therefore, cloudy or stormy days were concerning because they were signs that Apophis was gaining ground. An indication that the sun god was having problems bringing his ship back up into the sky. Solar eclipses were particular times of terror for the Egyptians, as they were interpreted as a sign of Ra's potential demise. By watching the sun rose again and moved across the sky, the Egyptians would know they had played a part in the god's victory over the forces of darkness. Apophis never had a formal cult and was never worshipped since he was related to destruction and death. But he would feature in a number of tales dealing with his efforts to destroy the sun and return order to chaos. Rituals surrounding the overthrowing of Apophis represent the eternal struggle between good and evil, which often relies upon the daily attention of humanity in order to succeed. However, this endless fight alongside the gods against the forces of darkness were not particular only to Apophis. The contending of Horus and Seth as well obeyed the same pattern of rivalry in which the forces of order often come out victorious from conflicts opposing them to pandemonium. During the rise of Christianity, Apophis continued to live through its iconography and mythology, merging with the most feared entity of this religion, Lucifer, the fallen angel and eternal antagonist of God, who worked endlessly with his attendants to overturn divine order and bring eternal chaos among the living. If you liked this video of Apophis, let me know in the comments below. And as always, stay curious.